Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom Media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Let's work. Hey.
Welcome this evening to the Red Kingdom Media, this episode of Gridiron Gamut, where we are live reacting to the Chiefs 2024 NFL schedule. As you can see, I got my partner Lonnie here with me today. We should be having Dale pop in here pretty soon. But Lonnie, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. Just excited to see what the rest of the schedule look like. Knocking some big games out early. I think we found out about earlier this week. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the season is going to entail, and how the rest of these matchups are going to stack up.
Yes, sir. And of course, with it being all the way till 7 o'clock before we know all the matchups and all that, we got like half of the matchups figured out before this time even happened. A lot of stuff trickled in the early parts yesterday, and then we learned what Christmas was and all that. But now that we officially have the full 17 games in front of me, let me go ahead and just list them off one at a time. So, of course, we've already learned that the Chiefs will be hosting the Baltimore Ravens on the Thursday night opener, the NFL kickoff, obviously, the Thursday nighter. And then we got the week 2 followed that, where the Bengals are coming to town for a 3:25 game at Arrowhead Stadium. And then week 3, we've got the Sunday night football going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And then week 4, the Chiefs will have their first divisional matchup where they face the Chargers at 3:25. So 2 home games, 2 road games in a row. And then we saw the week 5 game already, which is home against the Saints on Monday Night Football. So that's the first opportunity that we're going to see Jason Kelce on stage for ESPN as a analyst for them, and also coming back to Kansas City to work a game for that. And the bye week happens very quickly, week 6. I know the Chiefs really enjoy their late bye weeks, but they're going to have to get as much out of that as they can, because their bye week happens very early this season. And I know that they always prefer to have it happen a little later. But what are your reactions to that? How do you think the Chiefs feel and react to such an early bye week this year?
Yeah, I mean, I know they like it later, but I think they may need it coming in earlier. They're playing some heavier teams here in the earlier part of the season, especially those 2 bigger games. Those are usually later season games. Those have been for us in the year, like Kelsey alluded to on his stuff. You want those games to kind of prep you for the playoffs, but if you can get them at the beginning of the year, that's always good too, because you can always break any potential tiebreakers that you may have later in the season. So I think the bye week may be good, because I'm not saying that we will be banged up, but you never know. And then you have a suspended Rashee Rice pending. So I think that bye week may play in the Chiefs' favor, especially with a lot of new guys. You don't know how that offense is going to be clicking necessarily when you first come into the season. So I think that bye week may actually benefit them this year, actually.
I could see that. They obviously have the arguably the hardest 2 matchups right away, taking on the Ravens and Bengals back to back, and then get the Chargers in the middle of that, and then also play in the 2 NFC South teams. Welcome on, Dale. We were just getting through. We got to the bye weeks. If you'd like, we can do a little refresher on the first weeks before that. So we got Chiefs Ravens week 1 for Thursday night, week 2 versus Bengals 3:25, week 3 at Atlanta Sunday night football, week 4 at Chargers 3:25, and week 5 at home for Saints for Monday night football. And then their bye week is at week 6. Dale, what are your thoughts with the Chiefs having a bye week within the first half of the season versus towards the second half of the season like they prefer it.
Yeah, I
JK.
think Dale might be a little bit froze there. Oh, but I also just want to say, I think that the NFL just rectified a little bit. Well, I guess giving us some primetime games there. I guess Sunday Night Football. I just was noticing Sunday Night Football week 3, and then football week 5. We already kicked the season off on Thursday, so I think they really gave us a little bit of shine there.
Right, but you mentioned that this is a good spot possibly to have their bye week because we already learned ahead of time as well that week 7 is the Super Bowl rematch where they go to San Francisco this time and take on the 49ers at 3:25. And then week 8, the Chiefs will stay on the West Coast, and that's their first divisional matchup against the Raiders in Las Vegas at 3:25. So obviously, right off the bat, we can see there's not a whole lot of early games, and I think, as we'll come to find out, the Chiefs are almost exclusively done with their noon games, unless it happens on a holiday. So
yeah,
week 9, the Chiefs will take on the Buccaneers for Monday Night Football. So another chance we'll get to see Travis and Jason in the same place again. Week 10, that's where we've got our first matchup against the Broncos, where we'll take them on at Arrowhead Stadium, where that is actually at 12 o'clock. So we've got a noon game that isn't on Christmas. Then we got week 11, where that's the MVS matchup, basically, where the Chiefs will take on the Bills at 3:25. Week 12, the Chiefs will go to Carolina to take on the Panthers for a 12 o'clock game. So, okay, we're getting there. Here's the one that we might want to talk about later, but the Raiders will come to town on Black Friday for a 2 p.m. game. So that'll be interesting. That's kind of a one-off scenario, both on a Friday and 2 p.m. That's interesting.
Weird start times for those Raiders games. Don't like it. I don't know, like those divisional matchups. That 12 o'clock Christmas, like that was like
yeah,
it's just weird.
We'll run down each individual matchup once we kind of get a glimpse of the entire schedule as a whole. But we're just kind of running it down for those of you who are just learning it as we are. Week 14, we've got the Chargers coming to Arrowhead for a Sunday Night Football matchup. Week 15, we heard Travis and Jason kind of talk about this on New Heights this morning, but they've got to travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns for a 12 o'clock game, and then the Week 16 game versus the Texans at 12 o'clock. There's a lot of speculation that is on a Saturday because the fact that the Chiefs will have to play on Christmas, which takes place on a Wednesday this year. So that they will go to Pittsburgh for a 12 o'clock game for the Week 17. And of course, being Week 18, we know that it will be at the Broncos, but we are unsure ultimately what the time is when that will take place. So to kind of reiterate what the full lineup of games are, let me get it in one fell swoop. We've got at home versus Ravens, at home versus Bengals, at Atlanta Falcons, at Los Angeles Chargers, home for New Orleans, a bye week for week 6, at San Francisco for week 7, at Las Vegas for week 8. Tampa's coming to town for week 9. Denver follows suit for week 10. Travel to Buffalo for week 11. Travel to Carolina for week 12. The second matchup against the Raiders at home for week 13. The Chargers immediately following that for week 14. At Cleveland for week 15. Texans at home for week 16. At the Steelers on Christmas for week 17. And at the Broncos for week 18. So that is your official 2024 Chiefs schedule for the full 17 games. So I figure we could kind of talk about that as a whole, talk about some of the key matchups, and then we could kind of go down the line and kind of take our picks about what are some of the interesting matchups that we like as we go from week 1 to week 18, and possibly propose some win-loss records. So, Dale, now that your connection is a little better, what was your thoughts on the early week 6 bye week that the Chiefs have?
The early week 6 bye week, I'm not gonna lie, being selfish, I was actually excited about it just to get it out the way. That way it's just nothing but football going forward. But getting into some interactions with other people online and everything like that, I do feel their sentiment of probably wanting to have a late one. Because when you just put in the factors of going through all the games and just going through all that hard work already, getting like a mini bye before the playoffs if you can, to just get some relax, and depending on how well you did as well too, if you're ahead, that's putting you in good position. So just going to the later part of the games, it gives you the advantage of, okay, probably got about 4 games left, that's fine, even going straight into the playoffs, but depending on if you get the bye week as well too. I understand that, but I'm okay with it, just because, like, hey, once week six is over, that's pretty early on. We know from week 7 all the way up to week 18, it's nothing but Chiefs playing each week, every week. So I'm fine with that.
Understandable.
Yep. So
I think already
it's a lot of interesting matchups, and we've got. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You was talking. You was talking when I stopped.
Oh no problem. So it's very strange because this season, with the addition of a Black Friday game, which I guess it's only fitting that the Chiefs will take on the Raiders for that, and the early Saturday matchup followed by a short four-day break before they travel to Pittsburgh for Christmas on a Wednesday. The Chiefs are basically playing 5 different days of the week. So that is very interesting in the fact that the NFL is taking a lot of initiatives. They already started the Christmas and Christmas Day games because they saw the success of the NBA, but now they're also adding on the Black Friday as a game versus just, Thanksgiving. So the Chiefs will play Thursday, Sundays, obviously, Mondays several times, Friday, Saturday, and Wednesday. Talk about like having to be prepared, and how far we've come from several seasons back where it was like the Chiefs are going to play on Sunday, and more than likely it's going to take place at noon. Yeah, I guess I have to be a little happier because I was basically saying that the Chiefs don't have any noons until Christmas, but there are some noon matchups in there. Clearly, they don't think the Broncos are going to be a formidable foe, nor Carolina, and Cleveland could be a toss-up depending on how they go. It's very interesting to have Houston late in the season as a 12 o'clock game. That could be a very sneaky sleeper game for sure. But the Chiefs, like we said, we're getting tested pretty early on, getting that mini bye week to prepare for San Francisco, and then they just have a gauntlet every single week. They're going to have a game, and every single week we'll be back here doing a post game for that game. So, any overall thoughts you guys have before we kind of just go down the line and discuss each game individually?
You made a mention about the noon games. I will say this: sometimes they do have like them primetime noon games for like CBS or Fox. Well, Fox typically they have the 325 one, but depending on what it is, it's just probably Houston probably be one of those games where it's just played everywhere. Like this is like the top matchup at 12 noon. So either way it goes, I'm excited for some of those games because I'll be thinking about it nowadays to be like, man, I mean, I'm lucky because I get to see the games at 11 o'clock if it's noon and pretty much an hour behind. So it's like I have that, leeway where I can still get some rest a little bit before, laying down or whatever, depending on the prime time. But it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just like to see us early. I don't know. When all odds is on us, I mean, that's cool. But, we didn't dealt with that last season. Jawan Taylor suffered just because all odds was on the Chiefs. Anything small that he did, everything was just spotlighted. So, I mean, it is what it is. We did come a long way, but hey, I'm excited for what we got going on.
And the fact that the Chiefs also play on 6 different TV networks, and I'll put those in quotation marks because obviously the Amazon Prime and the Netflix are not TV channels, but the fact that the Chiefs are getting showcased on 6 different networks shows that obviously the NFL thinks that the Chiefs are a marquee team, winning several Super Bowls in a row. Obviously, that goes without saying, but the NFL also is leaning into having several networks and several opportunities to watch different teams play. And I know that people around the Kansas City area in general are not fond of having to take a guess at what channel or streaming service they got to load up to watch the Chiefs that day. And especially for Christmas, they gotten lucky that the last couple times that they do play on Christmas, it's been an Arrowhead. And unfortunately, that is not the case. So if you are one of the people like myself who do not have your own Netflix account, you might have to go somewhere that is, or finally bite the bullet for that. But thankfully, I get to avoid the Amazon Prime game and get to go see that in person. So.
And I was just gonna say, when you got the best team, it's unfortunate, I know, but it's when you got the best team and you are the best thing that the NFL can market, they're gonna use you in the biggest games. It's the smartest thing that they could possibly do. So just expect it coming now and in the near future. The Chiefs will be on Netflix a lot, and they will be on anything that the NFL decides to spearhead as far as the channel goes. But I just wanted to say this about the overall schedule. I didn't like last year, the one game in between division opponents. I don't see any of that this year. I think that'll help us a lot. I didn't like that with the Broncos. I feel like that allowed the Broncos to just really get to see us back to back. So that's one thing I did like about the overall schedule. No one opponent in between playing division opponents. The same division opponent. I did not like that last year at all.
Yeah, very true. The closest range where the Chiefs double up on their division rivals is the Raiders, where they take them on in week 8 and week 13. So at least that's 5 weeks in between versus what you were just saying, Lonnie, we're literally one game and then take them on again in a different location. So yeah, the Chiefs were not mentally and physically prepared for that second Denver matchup. They should have no troubles getting ready for this. And now having the complete schedule in front of them and seeing the bye week so early on prior to Halloween, the second half of the season is going to be a gauntlet for them. And if we want to be like previous seasons and get to take the last week or 2 weeks off, they got to play some damn good football at the early and middle part of the season against some pretty, either some actually tough competition or some teams that could definitely surprise you if you underestimate them, like the Chiefs did with the Broncos last year. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and march down each one of these games individually. So the game that everyone knows about, that came out first and foremost, that we're all excited about, that Andy Reid is probably already scheming right away, or will be implementing how to beat this team very early in training camp. The Thursday night season opener, Arrowhead Stadium, 7:20 p.m. on NBC, Chiefs versus Ravens. What are your initial thoughts about that game? And give us a win or a loss.
I'll go first, Lonnie.
Yeah, so I'll start it off. I like the matchup. Like I said, it's great for the beginning of the year. It's an AFC rematch. We knew it was going to be some intrigue. They wanted to draw some interest. It's the biggest game. It's going to be the most watched game by the NFL. It's the very first one. I think it's going to be different. I don't think they lose this game. I think we find a way to win it. But I think it's going to be a tight one. It's two teams. Both of the coaches are 4-1 in season openers. So, I mean, that just tells you everything you need to know. It's not a lot of losses in between these coaches. They have a lot of time to prepare for both teams. And both coaches take great advantage of a lot of time that they get to prepare. So I would expect both teams to be well prepared. Being that we have a new offense, I don't know how crazy our offense looks, but I say Spags has his defense and his boys firing. He has a young group over there. Secondary still good. I think it's going to be a close game for sure, but I think we find a way to win it in the end, at least by a field goal. But I love it. I love the matchup. We get to knock out two of the hardest matchups. I just hate that they're not prepping us for the playoffs. We usually get these harder matchups later in the season to help prep us for those games that we get into the playoffs. But we probably potentially get a tiebreaker here. So we need to get this dub.
Right.
Yep. This is going to be very exciting every time Lamar goes against Patrick Mahomes. We get electrifying performance, even if it's a low-scoring game. Just what they do throughout the game is very exciting. Lamar, of course, is great with his feet. Last AFC Championship game, he was end up catching his own ball and getting a first down plus more. So just seeing what they do, you got the Patrick Mahomes no-look pass as well. They're just going to go out there and put on a show. So I think that's automatic that we're going to see on the season opener, where it's going to be electrifying, and it's going to be an important game early on that both teams are putting on their schedule, because they're looking at that head-to-head as well too when it comes to it when we get to the playoff seating. So it's just early playoff implications. That's why I enjoy it. I think it's going to be very fun. Hollywood Brown get to go up against his former team and prove what he can do with a quarterback that's probably more of a passer. And then also we have some young guys that we're ready to see as well too. We know Rashee Rice might not be in that game as well. So Xavier Worthy, you're going to be up after that, the second option as a wide receiver. That's how it's looking. They say he's learning to play very quickly as well. So I got a W. I'm going with 31-20. I think it is close early on, but in the second half, they end up taking off. And I just think our defense just know how to lock in on Lamar Jackson. And I think they're going to be able to contain him.
All right. And that's a clean sweep for me, because I also agree that the Chiefs should come out and we shouldn't have the lag and the controversies in the first banner night that we had last season, because Detroit came in ready to play, and the Chiefs were a little slacking behind, and obviously we're missing two key players, one for injury and one for other reasons, and we won't go into that. But the Ravens are a different team this year, and we got to remember that last year their defensive coordinator held the Chiefs in the second half to 0 points. That defensive coordinator has since moved on. So the Ravens will be trying to pick up and start a brand new type of defense. And if I'm picking defensive coordinators, am I picking someone who's just starting out for the Ravens, or am I picking Steve Spagnuolo, the arguably the catalyst for why the Chiefs went on their Super Bowl run last year? So if I agree that it could very well be a low scoring affair. But I just don't think that the Chiefs are going to come out flat again, especially getting to play the Ravens, 3 games apart now from Super Bowl and preseason and stuff. So Andy Reid, with prepping for this game, he should have a lot of plans and schemes that he's got cooking, that he's able to put some easy points on the board and give Steve Spagnuolo the next nearly 4 months now to prepare for this game. I think they should come out with a win. So, by the way, at the end of this conversation, I'll screen share you guys what our official predictions. Some of us might disagree, but whatever we agree on, I'll show you guys our projected win-loss record by the end of this, so you guys can see what we're talking about and get a refresher for some of the games if you guys are popping in late and didn't get to hear every single matchup. So the the Chiefs have a little mini bye week because they play on the Thursday. They wouldn't play that Sunday. They play the following Sunday. And we already knew that matchup, that the Chiefs would be hosting the Bengals for 3:25 on CBS. So it's very clear that the NFL, they've always had the Bengals happen either December or January. And they clearly did not like the fact that Joe Burrow got hurt last season, so it wasn't the marquee quarterback matchup that they would like. The jury's still out on what the status of Joe Burrow's injury is. Not sure if he'll be 100% by this time, but we know that him and the Bengals will be competitive because they always play the Chiefs competitively. So, Lonnie, give us your prediction on Chiefs versus Bengals.
I think we have another bar burner here. And this one is just kind of a little bit scarier for me, being that we don't know our cornerback situation for sure. We know that we have All-Pro and Trent McDuffie, but we don't know what the rest of those guys look like. They struggled a little bit coming into last year. They are going into their third year off of their second Super Bowl, which they did play in some of those games, but they didn't have as large of impact as they had in their rookie year. So being that we don't know our cornerback situation, this is a game that scares me here. And it just kind of gives me the sense that we could be 1-1 after this game, just because we will get a healthy Joey B. He's coming in early into the season. He's not the great early in the season, but I think he'll be on the ball, I think, earlier in the season. So I think the Chiefs may lose this game. Just because it's set up to be a trap game. We still trying to figure things out if the offense starts out slow. If we don't get things right how we need to in the Ravens game. Lou Anarumo is a guy that's had Patrick Mahomes' number for the past couple years. Knows how to blitz him well. Knows how to timely blitz him. Also is not scared. A team that's not scared to go into Kansas City and take it. They've been to Kansas City and taken it before, early in the season, late in the season when it was loud, in the playoffs, in the AFC Championship. So I think this is one that we may find ourselves here sitting 1-1 and just really getting ready to beat up on the team the following week.
I'm actually opposite. I know I'm not being a homer statement. I think the Chiefs just are going to start out strong this year, and we know that we can do that. Playing the Bengals early on, I think just different from previous years. What makes it different, I wanted this game to be a little bit earlier just because I wanted that exposure right now, get that feel, because I wanted us to go out and be able to just, if we can, see what we can do right now against this type of team, and then have that same game plan going into the playoffs as well too, if we do see them again. Now, I know it's too early and it can be a different story once it comes to that time, but at the same time, I want to see how effective this defense can be now without L'Jarius Sneed early on. I want to see what we have, and then beating a team like the Ravens the game before and going into Cincinnati and beating them as well, I think that can give them a lot of confidence and be like, hey, I think we're back on the right track. This might not be something similar than last year, but I also feel like the cards is in our corner due to the fact that, they had a hot start against us first, 3-0. And then we end up being able to get one. So, and then after that, last season, even though Joe Burrow didn't play, we was able to still get one with Jake Browning playing pretty well. He's not a Joe Burrow, but it just shows within that offense. If you're decent, you're able to run it. They'll be able to make something happen with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and when they had Tyler Boyd. They don't have that anymore, right? So with the things that's going on in the organization, T. Higgins is not happy. We don't know if he's going to hold out. If it's a potential of him holding out the first half of the season and it's just Jamar Chase, that's automatic for the Chiefs getting that win in my eyes. I mean, Jamar Chase is going to get his money, of course, but at the same time, it's been games where he started off hot and then he slowed down and we contained him. He didn't do nothing for the rest of the game. He just did enough to put them over the top, but at the same time, we were able to just key in on him and then be able to get those stops that were needed. But this always a low scoring affair as well too. It's going to be a 3-point game once again. I'm saying 24-21 Chiefs. They start out the season 2-0 in 2 home games in a row.
All right, and then I got to break the tiebreaker, and because I know this team is not going to win every single game they play, because statistically they never do, and they never will.
Right.
Because the NFL is just completely built that way. And if I got to start picking losses on their schedule, that makes sense. I mean, ultimately, I think I caution on the side of Lonnie here. If there's any games that they could get caught, it's right after they just pulled off a exciting win the week before that, and the Bengals come into Arrowhead, not Burrowhead, and they have something to prove and need to, one up and prove that if Joe Burrow was healthy last season, what could have been and all that. So I think that this very well could be a W, but if I'm having to look for losses on their schedule, I think this is one that I could put an L there and obviously be pleasantly surprised when they do pull out the win, because if they win this game, then they're going to lose some other game that we don't think they remotely deserve to lose at all. So if I'm picking losses, this one does make sense to me. And if anything, anytime they've lost to the Bengals, they've come back with more fire and passion and played way better after that fact. So for the sake of that, I'm going to pick it as an L, but I could easily be swayed to Dale's side and say, no way this team comes out and loses that way. But I'm not going to pick as a homer. I'm going to try to pick as logical as I can and just accept that there's no 17 wins on this schedule. There's got to be some losses somewhere. And with 17 games, you're bound to get a couple. I mean, the Chiefs lost 6 games last season, and that would have been way more than we thought possible. So now we've got the Sunday night football against the Atlanta Falcons. Lonnie, what you thinking?
The quarterback controversy. I think it's a dub. I mean, I know they have a new coach, new system. I think they go down to Atlanta and win. I know they're going to be rowdy. All the celebrities are definitely going to be in the building. The Quavos, the little babies, all the Atlanta celebrities will definitely be in the building. It's the home of where Mahomes threw that the 75-yard bomb to Tyreek in the preseason.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully we can get something reminiscent of that. Being that we have Xavier Worthy. It's a turf game early in the season also as well. We haven't had a lot of problems with those, but Kelsey is getting older. But I think this is a win for the Chiefs, and I think it's a win going away. I think they redeem themselves, pick themselves up off the mat, show that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Also, not only at home, but on the road, continue their road excellence and continue the excellence against NFC teams, especially. Andy Reid loves to beat up on those guys. I think they get a win here going away.
So everybody, I do have L's on the schedule, but this is not going to be one. Kansas City is going to take over Atlanta. We have a lot of things going up there. I mean, Lonnie, you already said it's too many celebrities that want to come out and see Patrick Mahomes, and you know what Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey going to do. They're going to go ahead and show out. You talking about that bomb in preseason to Tyreek Hill, and you think you're going to see the same thing from Xavier Worthy. I need a pick 2 from Trent McDuffie because you still ain't got no pick. So you need to do something in that realm. Let's go ahead and go back in the day to one of the great chief safeties that we had. Our guy that beat cancer that's going through it right now. He fought it all out. I need something reminiscent of that. And I mean, Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's good. He's been a consistent above average quarterback, and I think he's going to always give us a run for our money. He did the same thing when he played in Minnesota last year. That was a pretty good game as well too. So I mean, I know that that they're going to fight, especially with the new head coach that they have. And, he's going to come out and try to bring that energy and put ATL on the map and try to get them back to the playoffs and hopefully try to get a Super Bowl. So I know they want to try to beat the reigning defending champs. And, every team is always going to give us their best as well too. So we're gonna have to be prepared for that. But Sunday night matchup, I think the lights is gonna be out. It's gonna be shining. It's gonna be a fun environment. It's gonna be good weather as well too. I think a lot of people gonna have a good time. And hey, Chiefs, start out the season 3-0, and I think that score, just because the stars is out, I'm not gonna go too high. Just 34, 20.
All right. I have that same sentiment as well. I don't think the Falcons are quite on par. They're clearly trying to rebuild and look like a competent football team, but I don't think that they're quite the playoff caliber that they need to be in order to make this a showdown, and they don't quite have the history, at least of recent years, to look like they're going to be super competitive in this matchup. Obviously, within the first 3 weeks, you could look like a competitor, but towards the end of the season, we'll find out how competitive the rest of this NFC South division ends up being. But I also am going to take the dub for a clean sweep on that. I don't. It just doesn't make logical sense why that would be one of their losses on their schedule. And like you said, Atlanta being a hot town, Sunday night football, you're the only matchup on TV. I feel like the Chiefs should come out fired, especially if they end up having the loss the week before that and they feel the need to get right and play out the rest of this early schedule before their bye week. So that brings us to Sunday afternoon on CBS at Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that, but no, it's a win. I mean, it's new coach, new everything. They're just like total reset, restart. I know they're gonna be trying to build a program, and instill some really, really, instill their values and how they want to play football over there. They're still probably getting there together in week 4. I don't know what part of that team is still together at this point, because it was almost like just the whole entire team was almost dismantled. So I think the Chiefs win here. I don't know if it's going away being it's a division opponent, and they still do have some backing guys like Derwin James, some guys that kind of just know the secondary there. But I think the Chiefs do get a win here, in a close one. They win at least by a touchdown, but I don't think the Chargers are just going to have enough this year to get it done. I'm sorry.
I think it's gonna be like that matchup to where we kind of pretty much dominated them throughout the entire game. Really wasn't great. They try to stay with us, but we end up running away. I think it was like last year in Los Angeles, or it was in Los Angeles or Kansas City. But my point is, just they lost too much. I mean, you don't have Keenan Allen anymore. You lost Mike Williams. Even Josh Palmer is gone. He went to the Las Vegas Raiders as well too. Guyton. I think it was one of those guys. Guyton. I think he went over to to Las Vegas. So just seeing that, and then Eckler's not there as well too. I mean, they do have a great coach in Harbaugh, but just having a new system and starting over, I just think they don't have enough, and they're not going to be able to compete at that level yet. They may be competitive towards the end of the season once they start getting the flow of what they're trying to do, but Herbert, it's just they don't have enough as of right now. I mean, you was able to restructure for Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa as well too, and then you end up bringing in Bud Dupree as well. So I mean, defensively, you're going to be able to be aggressive, but sometimes that's just names. It's not nothing that means anything to us. They did that last time. He was able to keep on having the streak. But this is a win. I do think I'm gonna go out and go ahead and say 28-7. I don't think they score as much. For real, I just think it might not be that great of a performance from Justin Herbert. I think a lot of people are overhyping him right now. They keep on trying to put him over these certain guys that have been in the playoffs, and he had weapons as well too. I mean, that game, I'm telling you, that game last year, that was an ugly matchup. That was probably the worst I seen Herbert, and he was just uncomfortable in the pocket the whole time. And then I'm talking about you get back Chris Jones on a 5-year deal, so that's cool. You got George Karlaftis, who is going. He went from 6 to 10. He's trying to go to 13, 14. We got Felix working with Tampa as well too. Charles Omenihu not gonna be there, and we still got Mike Dana. I'm okay. Now we're gonna see what they left tackle was talking about that they drafted. They got Joe Alt. But he's young. We got vets. We're reigning defending champions, so that's why I got it. It could be different, but it's still a win. I might be over exaggerating the score.
Yeah. I also picking it as a win. I am not as confident about that. And not as large of a win margin as Dale, but the Chiefs have always played the Chargers very well. Yes, they have a new head coach, John Harbaugh, or Jim Harbaugh, excuse me. The Harbaugh Bros are back at it. New head coach Jim Harbaugh. We know that he's very tough and will have that team ready to compete, but I don't think they'll have quite what it takes to catch the Chiefs in this first set of games, especially if they've already given up one loss. We know that Andy takes a special consideration when it comes to divisional matchups, and the Chiefs have had a lot of success in SoFi Stadium ever since the Chargers have called that their home, and most of their matchups have been last second scores to come out with a win. Barring anything happening to Justin Herbert, I could see that exact same thing happening again. And I just don't think that the Chargers defense will be quite ready to make the big stop at the very end when it counts. So we could very well see another Travis Kelce flinging his hands for the go-ahead touchdown. But I'm definitely not assuming that to be a large victory, but I think it's another game where these hard divisional matchups, but the Chiefs will come out on top for that one. And then before the bye week, we've got week 5, Monday night, ESPN, 7:15, New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I think this one is a win too. I know that these guys are going to be very well prepared. The head coach is a defensive guy. He's going to have his guys ready to go, but they're coming into a hostile environment. Hopefully off of 2 wins. So Clinton and the guys will be ready at Arrowhead. Have the guys ready to go on Monday Night Football. I think this is our first one of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we'll definitely be locked and loaded and ready to go. But I know they're going to come in ready on the defensive side of the ball, but I think they still get a win. Andy Reid is just really good at preparing for those NFC opponents. So I think they find a way to get a win here against a Saints team that I don't know where they'll be at, because I haven't seen their schedule. But I'm assuming that I don't know who their quarterback is. I don't think they'll be on the winning side of things. So they'll be trying to scratch and claw and get themselves a win. But
get Derek Carr though.
They do have Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Also, Derek Carr is the star. He's there, so he is there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I think he still loses though.
Yep.
I think they still it's probably still a loss, just not enough to get it done. These are the reigning defending champs, and I think they represent that on Monday Night Football. The Kelce brothers going to be in town.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't sleep on them. They got Willie Gay, they got Tyron, they got Colin Sanders. That ain't gonna be enough though. We ready for that. I know they're gonna be happy. They're gonna be happy to be back in Kansas City. I think, mindset wise, we might have them just due to the fact of, like you said, depending on how their season start out. Say they start out 1-3 or something like that because they see us in week 5. Say if they start out like that, we have a chance to go ahead and put the icing on the cake and kind of just add more fuel to the fire to their loss record. But at the same time, I do think that this Saints team, they always play us well. They always play us tough, and we always fight through the end. So it's not going to be just a walkthrough. But you got to remember in previous years before, they was dogging us out in that one game. It was like in the Alex Smith era, right? When Jamal Charles and them was still here, they was taking it to us. Was able to come back and win. But at the end of the day, they just always have us to where it's like, we don't know. And that's when we got our first sign of Trey Henderson that's on the Bengals. He was doing as bad on their defense as well too. So just going after Alex Smith and getting those sacks. So I think they're gonna come out tough. They still have some guys that they can utilize as well. Let's not forget they got Alvin Kamara as well too. Michael Thomas will be gone. But I think they Chris Olave got some guys over there where, like, hey, if we're sleeping on them, they can end up having a big game on us. So we got to be aware of that. But I do think that they're gonna be up and going, ready to go. Know that they have this last game into the bye, and I feel like they would like to go into the bye undefeated if they can, being 5-0. So yep, going to Chiefs winning that game. I'm going with, they got a pretty good defense. 2010.
All right. And I am agreeing. I think the Chiefs should have no problems pulling out this game. And I don't mean to, make New Orleans out to be a bad team or sell them short or anything. But I just don't think that they have the offensive weaponry necessary to take on the Chiefs, especially in their three-peat season where their offense already slacked and they had to let their defense carry them last season. I think the Chiefs are trying to do everything possible to not have that scenario happen again. And they're going to come out and try to be on fire on offense throughout the whole season if they can. Dale, you mentioned a couple former Chiefs defensive players who would love to get the win or at least get some shine on the Chiefs. But I don't think it'll be enough to ultimately upset the Chiefs. But I'm not going to sell the Saints short and say that they can't look competitive. But I do agree. I don't think the Saints quite have what it takes to get the job done there. So the Chiefs have their bye week in week 6. And then they've got the tough matchup right after that where they travel to San Francisco for the 3:25 game on Fox against the 49ers.
Yeah, Andy Reid is great after the bye week. Kind of just don't see it happening, but can't give the Chiefs a whole. Like I said, I can't have them just only winning one game. Losing one game throughout the season. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think this is a game where we can get caught again, just by a team that has been beat by us several times in a lot of big games. And eventually enough is enough. Just like we've seen with the Raiders. We stomped them out pretty bad, beat them pretty bad. And eventually enough becomes enough. And you have to figure out how to beat a certain opponent. And I think this is that opponent for Kyle Shanahan. So I just don't know if the Chiefs get it done here. I think they play them probably as one of the toughest games that they ever played them before. Tougher than the Super Bowls, just being that they ripped 2 Super Bowls out of the mouth of the 49ers, and not only 2 Super Bowls, but like really 2 legacy driving Super Bowls for Mr. Shanahan over there. So being that they've done that to those guys twice, Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, I don't know if they let that happen again. I think they play us a lot tighter than they played us in that first game. And we probably don't get a win in San Francisco and probably hopefully see them later in the season.
Yeah, I was actually going with L this one, so I do have us dropping 5-1. Of course, everything could change based off what happened in previous before the game, right? We don't know injuries, just how stuff shift, how the team starts, right? But just right now, as of now, I think just because of just what happened previously, we kind of have been dominant of them the previous years as well, from the first Super Bowl, and I think the year before that as well too. When we won, it was just like win, 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 and they have a good unit. So I think this is the one where it's like, okay, they buckle down, they go in ready to go, just ready to come out, just try to establish themselves being the best in the NFC as well too, just redeeming themselves from that tough Super Bowl loss as well. I think Brock Purdy is going to have a decent game. I don't think he's just going to flat out just dominate us on that side of the ball, but I do think he get guys like Debo Samuel involved. We don't know the status of Brandon Ayuk yet, but we've seen how that went in the Super Bowl as well too. Kind of was having his way on a couple plays against L'Jarius Sneed. So just knowing what we have now, that could be the same situation, right? If he's there. And then of course you have someone that is considered one of the better tight ends in the league, not over Travis Kelce, but George Kittle. When he's hot and he's ready to go and he's healthy, he can definitely be a threat. But just all in all, I think, coming out the bye, I know we're typically good after the bye, but sometimes recently we kind of been seeing awkward things happen with this Kansas City Chiefs unit. So I think it's one of those where it's like, okay, you started out pretty good. You got to get this loss that brings back the humbleness, like, okay, let's go ahead, get our mindset together, get back on track. But sometimes it runs its course. Got to take this L, and I think this is the game for that.
All right, and Dale, you took a lot of my points. That yes, Andy Reid has been very good after a bye, but the last recent years hasn't always been the case. And Lonnie, completely agree. If Kyle Shanahan is going to exercise some demons, now is the best time to do it, when you don't have as dominant of a secondary, at least on paper, in this matchup than you recently had. And then don't forget the last time the Chiefs took on the 49ers during the regular season. That was literally like 5 minutes before Christian McCaffrey was implemented onto their offense. And obviously they've done a lot more upgrading and advancing since then. So you guys have nearly pushed me to be the silent majority and take the W, but I think ultimately, if I have to pick losses on the schedule, this one makes the most sense to me, and I don't think either of us are going to be upset or think the sky is falling if they do end up taking the loss to the Niners. But obviously, with Andy Reid and his history and the offense being a little more improved, they might think this game is a shootout and not want to rely on their defense so much, and maybe they do pull it out. But I don't want to, be a homer and pick every game as a win. So I think we are all kind of in agreement that this is the game that makes the most sense on their schedule. That could be a loss, and I don't think any of us are going to be upset. And the sky is falling if that ends up the way it does.
As long as it's competitive, just no mistakes in there where it looks like, wow, like it just what we was dealing with this whole season, where people thought we wasn't going to the Super Bowl or anything like that, just with all the tremendous drops. If it's a game where the 49ers just play better than us, it's okay. Where we both was in it, they had the last possession, or they had that moment that was able to shift, that's fine, because it happened now in the regular season. So as long as we're just competitive, I'm fine. It happens, and it's a non-conference component as well too. So
that's right. All right, then the following week, the Chiefs will travel to Las Vegas for 3:25 on CBS to take on the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, and this is a must-win, just for the Chiefs and our culture. Period. The Raiders did. I don't even know if I have to do it or anybody. I don't know what it is, but this is where you turn on all the clips from this offseason, turn on that game from last year, and you just let them have it, Andy Reid. Like, just go in on them like as much as you can and let them know this is a game that's contingent on our mentality. This is going to show people who we are moving forward. This is going to set the tone for all rookies coming in to let them know what we do and how we handle Raiders when we play against the Raiders, and what it is to be a Chief when you play on Raiders week. So I think the Chiefs get it done here as well. I think this is going to be a hard fall game because Antonio Pierce is going to have his guys ready, and they're going to be up. He's a Spagnola guy, so he's going to be sending blitzes. He's going to have a great defensive plan for Mahomes. He always does. He has had one these past 2 times that we've played. So I'm expecting him to continue that. But I'm expecting the Chiefs to come out and really assert themselves in this matchup because I think this is just an all mentality. Travis Kelce's in the media. He's seeing what's said. He works with media every day. So this is a mentality game. This is where they're going to try and push you around and bully you. They're trying to bring that old school rivalry back, and you bring it to the front door. And I think we just give it to them here. So we got to get a win here. I think we get a win in Oakland. I mean, in Vegas.
Mm-hmm. You don't expect them enough to say they old city, huh? Nah, I'm just playing. It's a win. I think we're gonna use this game to get back on track. We just go ahead and kind of put ourselves ahead of the division as well too, because this will be our second division game, and just to put ourselves up 2-0 and kind of put us ahead of the curve. So I know Antonio Pierce, he's trying to come out with that same energy as last time he played us. And then of course we heard his remarks in the offseason as well too, where he wants to come in and actually dominate, and he wants to bring it to Patrick Mahomes in the offense. So we know defensively that they're going to try to be aggressive, but I think they just still don't have enough offensively. I know Aiden O'Connell did a little bit of something last year against us, but he didn't do much. He didn't even do nothing in the second half. So it was more of they were just willing themselves, were saying that, hey, you're not going to score more points at us, and that's it. I don't think we have the same offense as last year. So I think that's why it may be a problem for them. I know they have Devontae Adams over there on the offensive side of the ball. They did lose Josh Jacobs, and then they brought in Brock Bowers as well too. So I mean, they have something, but they just don't have much that really strike my eye to where I say they're going to go ahead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 8. So I will say that's a loss. I think it's a tough game, 20-7.
I'm
Chiefs.
like this close to picking this as a loss, and it's only because of what happened last year. But the sole fact that they've obviously improved and gotten tougher as a team since then, and the fact that the Chiefs own Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, I got to pick this as a W, and just think that the lights are going to be way too bright for Patrick Mahomes and the offense to let Antonio Pierce and that Raiders defense clown them again. So I'm very close, but the fact that the Raiders chose not to get better at quarterback in any way, I know a lot of people are possibly thinking them as the number 2 or 3rd best team in the division. And I may be more on the side of them being arguably the worst because of their quarterback room that they've got going on. So if their offense didn't have to play games, the Chiefs offense versus the Raiders defense alone could be a very good matchup. And depending on the day and the circumstances, the Raiders could come out on top. But because that Raiders offense has to contribute, yes, they have Devontae Adams. Yes, they just drafted Brock Bowers. But I don't think they've got quite the weaponry that it will take to get the win over Kansas City this time around. So I am also picking a win for the Chiefs versus Raiders matchup. And then we've got Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 7:15 on ESPN.
Another one, a second Monday night primetime game. I think we get a win here as well. A non-division opponent, NFC opponent, Baker Mayfield, really still on his little redemption tour or whatever you call it. Really just trying to reviving his career. Him fresh off of getting the bag, as we like to say. I don't see the Chiefs losing this game just in whatsoever. We went to Tampa these past couple years. Later in the season, I will be more worried about like, okay, maybe the weather or things like that. But I'm not really worried about it, especially being in Kansas City. So I think we get a win here. And being that it's later in the season for them coming to us, I feel like the weather may play a factor on their end, but not so much on ours. And that's only if the weather is really just really bad here in Kansas City. But I think the Chiefs get a win here, and beat the Buccaneers, and dismantle whatever party's going over there with Baker Mayfield in the game, him and Mike Evans.
Um, win. Um, I mean, pretty much after the Super Bowl, after Tom Brady left, they were like a shell of themselves. I mean, they have been competitive with Baker Mayfield. They were able to resign Mike Evans as well too. It's just the inconsistency of like Godwin, their other weapon as well, and offense, also defensively as well too. I just think they're starting to get a little bit older and a little bit depleted. So it's just not as much. I mean, they was able to still keep their star safety and Winfield. He got a record-breaking deal as well now. But just in all, I don't think they have enough to just compete with us. I think with this being a non-conference game as well too, and especially with it being in Kansas City on Monday Night Football, I do think they come out ready to go, excited, just hitting all key elements of the game, just bringing it to them. So yep, I'm going with W. And if I'm not mistaken, with that win, I said, what, that's 7-1, 7-1, I believe, if I say
Mm-hmm.
that. Yep. All right.
All right. Well, I'm going to be the first dissenting opinion out of everybody here. And for all the reasons that the Las Vegas Raiders game could scare everybody, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the perfectly built team that if they catch the Chiefs offense on a bad day, where the Buccaneers defense is still one of the elites in all the NFL, and their head coach Todd Bowles obviously beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and obviously we haven't gotten quite over those demons yet. So obviously, because I don't think the Chiefs are set to lose only a couple games, I'm ultimately going to go against the other two parties here and pick that as a loss. Am I 100% confident that they will lose? No, they could absolutely come out on top for this game. But if I'm picking losses on the schedule, this is the middle of the season. All the excuses that we gave for the Falcons and the Saints being unknown and unsure, those same things could be said for the Buccaneers, but you can't say that you're not for sure about their defense. So if it's Andy's defense versus Todd Bowles, or Andy's offense versus Todd Bowles' defense, if it's the right circumstances, the Chiefs could be caught. So I'm going to go against everybody here and mark that as the third loss on the Chiefs schedule this season. So then we've got the Sunday 12 o'clock noon game where they host the Denver Broncos on CBS.
Yeah, I like it because I like it better than the other games that we've usually had with them. They're all been on Thursday. Super weird, first of all. So which is like makes it. I feel like it plays to their advantage, but I know it's to no team's advantage. But it's like, oh my god, they suck already, and then you making us play them on a short week. You're really helping them out. It's a kindergartner Pop Warner team. Sorry, but I think we win right here against the Broncos. It's 12 o'clock. We got some time to prepare. I know Sean Payton, he's waiting all season. He has this matchup circled. Another person's job who is contingent, I think, on this matchup is Mr. Sean Payton's. A lot of the moves that he made in his offseason as well are for us, to the likes of getting Bo Nix and the rest of the guys that he signed. So I think we still get a win here. I don't think the Broncos have enough. They're probably a couple years away from even trying to really remotely compete with the Chiefs, being that they're disassembling things too, with starting a whole new quarterback and putting some new things in place in the organization. So I think the Chiefs get a win here.
Yeah, this dub for me. I'm gonna be short and sweet. Just quarterback play. They don't have anybody right now. I know defensively they always give us a tough time, but I just think on that side of the ball, they're just not gonna be able to do nothing. They had to make a lot of changes. They had to end up trading Jerry Jeudy. They still do have Cortland Sutton, and I don't think they lost Tim Patrick, if I'm not mistaken. If so, he might be out there. If not, I don't know. But you know, it's like they got some guys, but they just never have enough, especially going into week 10. I'm sure they're going to have some injuries as well, too. But I mean, depending on if Zach Wilson is starting or Bo Nix, that could tell us how tight the game could be. I mean, Zach Wilson played us pretty good when he was in New York. I think just coming out in that game as well too. Not being, I mean, we was prepared for him because we played them. I mean, earlier on, but Rodgers was out by then. But he was getting kind of a feel of it as well. And then the game against us was just like that perfect one for him, where it's like I peaked and then it stopped. So I think we know more about him now and are in prepared to say like, hey, like if you do trying to come out, this is not going to be the same situation. But if it's Bo Nix, it could be a different story just because I mean, being a rookie quarterback, depending on when he's coming out and starting as well too. You got to remember that time when we played the Chargers and we thought we were going to be playing against who was it at that time?
Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor, and then Justin Herbert came out. Boom, he had a good game against us and nearly beat us as well too. Very close. So I mean, if it's the same situation, that could be a different story. But I do think we get the win before we go ahead and head out to Buffalo.
I agree. Bo Nix could be a competent quarterback in the NFL, but the Broncos are not that team. And yes, they were able to catch the Chiefs last season and break their 8-year drought of beating the Chiefs. But I think they're going to have to go another calendar year before potentially beating the Chiefs again. So I've got this as a win for Kansas City. You just mentioned it, Dale. Sunday, 3:25 at Buffalo.
Yep, I think this one is a win too for the Chiefs. We haven't been good against Buffalo in the regular season at all. Buffalo comes into our house and has taken it these past couple years in the regular season. So I'm expecting the Chiefs to go return the favor in Buffalo. I know we just won a playoff game up there. That stadium is going to be absolute chaos at 3:25. That little primetime window in the afternoon. So absolute chaos. I'm expecting the Chiefs to still go up there and get a win and absolutely shut Mr. MVS down, exposing. We have to now. You're on the list.
We're not worried about him.
No, I don't care. You're on the list. So if you make the team, all right,
he's making it team.
But if you go get Mr. MVS, I think we get a win here. It's going to be a close game, a super duper close game. Stop the quarterback run. I'm saying it now. It's the same thing every time, but I think we get a win here.
I'm actually going with L. Only reason why I'm going with an L because I'm not mad. Like if we do lose, it's like y'all can't beat us in January. So if you can't beat us in January, that's all that matters. And at this point, we would be 9-2 with this loss. So it's not really a big deal. How do you do against your conference? Because if you're not being able to keep up with them and we're ahead of them with overall record, we'll be fine going into the playoffs and we can end up getting that bye week. But we just showed last year we don't care as well either. We'll play one home game and then we'll play the last two and still go to the Super Bowl and win. So I think at this point, that's why I don't care about the loss because I'm comfortable with it. Like, don't be like the 6th seed or 7th seed or anything like that. If we get one home game, yeah, but just seeing that's like I'm a little bit comfortable now. And but you know, they're gonna come out here like our little brothers, be like, hey, I can really beat you and beat us in the regular season. Great, good job. You know, Josh Allen had a great game. I think it's still close regardless. You know, Keon Coleman might step out and show out. Who knows? And, you know, they want to show us that Buffalo is really that stadium that we can't compete in. We can compete in regardless. We already showed that anyway. But just one of those games where it's like coming in 9-1. You know, they're trying to probably stay in the race with playoff seeding or just trying to stay in the playoffs as well, too. And they're going to go all out. Not saying that you should in any game that you play, but, you know, just still they're going to be like, hey, we're getting tired of losing to you. And that will be a perfect opportunity for them to win. And I'm always big, especially with teams that I know that we're always going to see in January. I don't mind dropping those early because typically it's always a split, right? If they're both great teams, like you're not going to lose to this team twice. So if anything, go ahead and get that loss done. And the pressure is just more of like, hey, can you beat them again? Because the Chiefs prove they can beat you in January all the time. It's your turn to do it, and it puts more pressure on them. So this is more of a psychological for me, just letting it go. But if anything, Chiefs lose 27-24. Bills got it. Something similar to like last time. Mahomes probably gets another chance, throw an interception. That's it.
And I get to be the split vote again. And of course, I'm going to go on the side of caution. And the Chiefs do not have a good recent history of getting the regular season wins against their AFC conference opponents that they face, but they end up getting rid of those demons when the playoffs hit. I'm going to say that Josh Allen does just enough to put the team on his back and win the game like he almost was able to do in the divisional round matchup this last season. And I'm going to go ahead and pick the Chiefs to lose this one as well. They could very well win this game and win it outright if Buffalo ends up falling short on their expectations, considering how much they've purged of their talent and their contracts. And the Bills are struggling, and they're trying to do a little soft rebuild the way the Chiefs have. But I think ultimately Josh Allen and the Bills can and will do just enough to come out on top and give the Chiefs another loss here. Go ahead.
And I compare just real quick, and I compare their matchup to like when the Chiefs used to play the Patriots. We'll always be able to find a way to beat them in the regular season, but could never get over the hump in the postseason. So this could be a situation where it's similar to where like we're the top dogs now, and now it's like, yeah, you can get that little game in us. You might blow us out as well too. We had that situation as well, but when it comes to the playoffs, we're gonna be prepared. And we're not gonna let it go. We're gonna try to go back to the promised land as we have done before. That's it.
And just like last season, when the Bills and Chiefs played each other, the Bills were in a do or die mode. And that's when they finally turned it on. And we saw them be competitive and actually jump the Chiefs in seeding. Mm-hmm. So that might be the over Josh Allen dead body game if the Bills are struggling and they need wins on their schedule in order to stay alive for the postseason. So
right.
I could see the fire on Buffalo's side, whereas the Chiefs still think they can get the job done with however many games and losses on their schedule left.
Right.
So then the Chiefs will travel to Carolina at 12 o'clock to play on CBS against the Panthers. Do we really need to do a whole lot of discussion for that one? I think we're all a W for that one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna mark it as win, but I'm telling y'all, I can smell a trap.
Well, he could do something. He could do something similar to Tua, like when we played them in Miami that one year. We started off like 20-0, then they end up trying to catch up, but we were able to just still dominate throughout the game and just get the W. He can pull something off like that, but I'm not going deeper into that.
I think
win.
Yep. Clean sweep with that one. A wins all around. And then we've got the Black Friday against the Black Hole, but they're coming to Kansas City for that at 2 p.m. on Amazon Prime Video.
Take off. Look, come on,
man. I don't. Black Friday. I don't know. It's a weird game. Like I said, weird times. Like Christmas at 12 last year.
5 days apart.
Super weird. Like I said, I want the Chiefs win here. I think they find a way to get a win, just because the nightmares of Christmas passed. Like literally, I think it's these weird games and these weird spots where they kind of put you in these kind of difficult, weird situations, where you kind of not have a short week to study, but you just kind of competing with a division opponent. You prepare during training camp, but you kind of just always want a little bit of time to prepare, regular time to prepare for the opponent. And I think that the Chiefs win here. I think they still get a win, but it's going to be close for sure because it's just one of those games in that weird spots.
Yeah, it's just because it's like, I do it again where, like you just said, it's like, oh my God. Because I was thinking about Christmas Eve. I was like, but we're going to be away. That's later on. We'll talk about that one. But this one's Black Friday. Ooh. Because I'm be honest, y'all gonna know. I got us losing 3 games total. So actually I'm going with this one a win because I got 2 Yeah, I got one other team I think that we're going to actually lose to. But this one, I think we're not going to let the same thing happen as last year. I think we're going to try to go out and be like, hey, we're going to dominate the division. Let's not play these games again like last year where they had a little bit of confidence. Oh, if the Chiefs do this, like, no, we're ending that early. It's not happening. We're going to go ahead and sweep the division. Still a tough matchup. And it's Black Friday. It's not like it's Christmas, though, right? So, I mean, the holiday was a day before. Black Friday, I'm a millionaire. My wife can just go on Amazon, wait till Cyber Monday. We're not tripping. The kid's going to be at home playing with their toys. I don't have to be there for that. I can come back after that game. It's at 2 o'clock. I'm in Kansas City as well, too. We're good. You know, I think their focus is not going to be all the way going because last year on Christmas, you got to think about it, you being home, and this is going to be my point for later on with that Christmas game. It's like, you're going to have all the activities and stuff done. Your focus is going to be there. You know what you're going to be coming in to work for. You're not focused on what you're going to be doing after work or anything like that. Also, you have all this stuff going on there before that as well, too. You got Pat probably building up toys for the kids, doing all that other stuff because you know that's the type of dad he is anyway. And at the same time, know he had to get to the stadium. So who knows how their schedules was. And the other players as well, too. I don't think they had that problem this time. That's why I'm gonna go ahead and go with a win. And I think it's a for sure win. It's not gonna be like a blowout, but like we know they're gonna pull off the W.
I'm also going with a win here. If the games were reversed and the first time the Raiders play was at Arrowhead, that may have swung my opinion just a little bit and maybe given the advantage to the Raiders, but the fact that this game is in Kansas City and it's not quite a holiday, it's at 2 p.m. It's off a quick game where against Carolina, where that was almost a tune-up game, or if God forbid something terrible happens and you guys have to come off of an upset game against Carolina, they're going to be ready to play the Raiders, and until the Raiders have a competent quarterback again, I just think the offense will have enough firepower to get the job done, regardless of how well that Raiders defense is balling out, especially with Christian Wilkins being on that team. So I'm giving them a win there. So now we are officially on to the last 5 games of the season. We're officially into December now. And on Sunday night, on 7:20 on NBC, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers in Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, and I think it's another win here. Sunday Night Football. Depending on the Chargers record, we might not be playing on Sunday Night Football. I don't know how those games tend to go later in the season. Just depending on how the Chargers are looking. It may not be a Sunday Night Football game, but it may be a matchup that may mean a lot later in the season. Just for us to close up and capture our division, which is I think is why they made it a Sunday night game. How many division titles would that be for us? Does anybody
just know we got more than them, and they used to talk about us all the time. We came from 8 while they had 15 over them, and we tied Actually, we over them in Super Bowls now. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, yeah. So I think it'll be an opportunity for us to potentially lock up our division, especially if we've been winning at the pace that I think that we've kind of been predicting it. So I think that's why they have it there, but I don't know if this is last as a 7:20 game, just depending on the record. But I think this is definitely a win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, let me go back to it. I'm sorry, I was trying to keep track of it as well too, because when I make this statement, I might be saying we're closing out the division. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The Chiefs are coming off their 8th straight AFC West title in 2023. So if the Chiefs get that would win their 9th straight AFC West divisional title.
Week 14, and this game is week 14. We close out the division. Nah, I'm shutting up. I'm gonna say that in season, y'all. This is a win, though. I'm gonna leave it at that. Win. I know. I think this is gonna be a game that just puts us to where it's like, okay, we're about a game or two away from just going ahead and closing it out. Probably be the game that we close it out. I won't say it until we actually know the record during that time in season. But I do think this is a win. Same as last time. I mean, depending on how they season started as well too, it might not be a good look for them. I know Harbaugh. He's awesome. He's good. What he was able to do at Michigan was phenomenal. After leaving the 49ers and going and downgrading and coming back up. So I know that he's not someone that we should just take lightly, but at the same time, just depending on the team in general, might not be not they might not be in good position. So going with a Chiefs dub, and we're going to be ready to close out the division after that game.
Dang, y'all are really selling the Chargers short here.
Everybody always tell them, I'm getting tired of it. Like every year they gonna win a division. They haven't did nothing. Stop doing that. At least doubt them first and let them beat us, and then we can then go on that little trip, that little run.
All right. But I'm with you guys. I also think the Chiefs should come out on top here. I obviously don't think that game will be as easy or as much of a easy win as you guys are, but they should come out on top here. The Chargers always play the Chiefs close, regardless, and like I said, Jim Harbaugh should make that team more competitive than they were last season. Justin Herbert not being injured should make them more competitive throughout the year, so they won't be in tank mode, so we say. But I'm agreeing with the rest of the crew here. I'm giving the Chiefs a win over the Chargers on that Sunday night football as it's currently scheduled. Making you put that preface there. Then the following week on 12 o'clock noon for CBS, the Chiefs travel to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and I think this is gonna be a really good game too. They've loaded that roster up. I think this is a sneaky one. It's a sneaky one, but I don't got us getting sniped this game. I think we still got to find a way to pull it out. But they have a lot over there in Cleveland, bro. A lot. When I say a lot, they stacked up. Got Cooper, still win. Got Judy. They still got Deshaun Watson. The defense is loaded. So I just think I think we got a shot here, but their back end is going to be well versed and very well versed with Mahomes, being that they have one of our guys in Juan Thornhill coordinating their back end back there in Cleveland. So I think I think that it'll be just a good matchup. I think they'll be prepared, but I think the Chiefs will find a way to beat the Brownies. Travis is from there, so he's going to find a way to show out and give them a run for their money in Cleveland. So I think they get a win here.
I said they was going to get 3 losses. This is not going to be the 3rd loss. I only got 1 more to go. I do think it's going to be a great game. Mahomes and Deshaun Watson always put on a show as well too when they face off against each other. I know the previous seasons hasn't looked so pretty for him, but when you miss the amount of games that he missed and coming back and playing that quarterback position as well, that could be a tough start. But I think they did the right thing by bringing in the weapons that they did bring in, and this is this might be a game that determines seeding. So this is going to have playoff implications if they're actually competing for winning the AFC North themselves, and also probably trying to find one of those top seeds as well too. So I think they're going to come out and try to play with a lot of enthusiasm, play with a lot of energy, and try to one up us. But I do think with us, if we're not dealing with injuries, we have a Minihu back by then. We have Rashee Rice back by then, and I think we'll be able to compete as well and have as much weapons as they do. And with us having the best quarterback in the league, a 3-time Super Bowl champion, a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, I think that gives us an advantage. Now, the Browns have played us great in previous games. They played us great in the playoffs. They played us great in the regular season as well too. We were just able to overcome and be able to just have bigger moments and be able to come up through the occasion. And I think they do that again in this type of environment. But I'm not surprised if they do, if we were to fall on this game. These are one of those games that the Chiefs can lose. Not saying it's a trap game, because that's a team that you expect to beat, but this is more of a depending on how it plays out, depending on what's going on before the game, what transpired before as well too, dealing with injuries, we don't know the situation. So but if everyone's healthy, I still have the Chiefs for that one.
All right. And similar to the Tampa Bay game, this almost has me sway and think this is the type of game and the type of team that is able to catch the Chiefs if they're not mentally and physically prepared for it. But until I see Cleveland be a little more stable, I guess, and see if Deshaun Watson can actually handle a full NFL season again, I'm going to pick a W for this. But I think it could very well be close, or like Dale mentioned, this could be a game that they do end up dropping because maybe they're perhaps more focused on their last remaining games on their schedule. But for the sake of optimism, and until I see something different with the Browns, I'm going to go ahead and pick a win. So now we're on the final 3 games of the season. Saturday, 12 o'clock on NBC, home against the Houston Texans.
Yeah, so this is a nooner. We haven't a lot of them. We haven't had a lot in recent years, but we had these nooners coming down the stretch, which is kind of weird. I think this is a young team, and they're primed to come into Arrowhead, and they probably get a win here. I think C.J. Stroud is the only quarterback on the schedule that I'm actually kind of fearful of. No disrespect, but I guess disrespect. But I'm sorry, but I just he's the only one that's really just like striking a lot of fear into my heart. And the offense is explosive. They went got Stephon Diggs. No telling if they're fighting for their fighting to get into the playoffs or fighting for playoff seeding. Being that I think they'll be one of those top tier teams in the NFC. With that quarterback and the defensive coach that they have and the quarterback that they have. So I think that the Chiefs lose here. They probably take a loss just depending on how healthy the Texans are and how desperate they are at this point later in the season, just trying to get into the playoffs or for fighting for playoff seeding. I think they have enough to beat us if it's a team that is good on both sides of the ball and almost not equal to, but that team that's coming up as the Bengals were when they first got Jamar Chase and the rest of those guys. I feel like that's the Texans. So I think they're those next ones.
I can never share something by myself. This was the game that I had as an L, and I think it's going to be a great game. I think both teams are going to play well. It's just going to be one of those games that the Texans need to kind of build confidence within the organization, build confidence within what D'Amico Ryans and what CJ Stroud is going to bring to them for years to come. And this is going to be their chance to actually show what they can do as just as a whole, that they're going to be a team that's consistently going to be in the playoffs. CJ Stroud is a young kid who they took Bryce Young over him due to the fact of like the testing that they take in the NFL and everything like that. He's a guy that plays, and he shows that if you give him a playbook, he's going to study it and he's going to play hard. And just hearing him on those podcasts as well too with Michael Parsons, how he breaks it down, that's what I want to see out of players when they're actually going on those type of platforms. How he was able to say, yeah, this play, I'm gonna do this play right here, to take out the whole play. He told what he's gonna do defensively. How they just went to it. That's the type of football talk I want to hear. That's the type of football nerd I'm here. Like, how are you going to overcome what he's doing on that side of the ball? How are you going to counter that? So just seeing that intelligence, I think he's going to come into the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he respects us as well too, where it's like, these guys are not nothing to play with. Like, he knows that he's going to have to do his all on the offensive side of the ball to make it competitive for them so they can be able to go out and win. And I think they're going to need that win because they're going to try to close out the AFC South themselves. Like I said, I think we can be done with our division by week 14 if we just do what we need to early on in the season, and then we're just trying to stay healthy and just kind of like push through to get to the playoffs. So it could be one of those games right here to where it's like, D'Amico was a part of that 49ers team as well too, that had that defense that held us to 10 points all the way up into the fourth quarter. So we know that he has that talent on the defensive side of the ball as well too. So I think this game can be to where, all right, I need to get this win right now to build confidence within my team. That way, when we go into the playoffs, they can play with a lot of heart and play with a lot of motivation when they play teams like this who are former reigning defending champions. So loss right here, but that's my third loss, and I'm keeping it at that.
All right. Well, Dale, you weren't going to be the only person with that either, because I also had this as an L. Same reasons I had the Bengals beating us and the Bills beating us. The Chiefs are more than willing to let AFC competitors beat them in the regular season, and and get them back in the postseason. We joked that how deadly that CJ could be in Arrowhead last year, and the Ravens made sure that that did not happen. I think the Texans could be even better this year, and with another year of preparation and experience under CJ Stroud, the Texans could be even better and even more competitive than they were last season. And just knowing the schedule as a whole, if I'm trying to find games that the Chiefs could be caught on their schedule, especially knowing that they play 4 days later on Christmas Day, this is another game that I'm choosing as a loss as well. Just given their track record against other AFC opponents and the obviously the respect and the confidence that I have in the Texans to be even better than they were last year, making it all the way to the divisional round. So, but that could change. Maybe the AFC South is a much more competitive division this year, and CJ's got a lot more to worry about than just playoff seeding. So,
and I'm just gonna say this: they will be the Tennessee Titans. Hello.
That's
They're
right.
gonna be competitive.
The Colts, if Anthony Richardson stays healthy, that team could be very a pain to deal with again. So yes, keep an eye on the AFC South. We always have divisions that look like the worst of the worst, and then the next year the entire division seems very competitive and difficult to deal with all around. So then we've got 4 days later, as I mentioned, on a Wednesday, on Christmas Day, 12 o'clock on Netflix, at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, the Chiefs get back on their high horse. We don't do a lot of losing in January. We don't lose a lot of games. I'm sorry, not in January, in December. We don't lose a lot of games in December and those later months going into the playoff months. You just don't see it a lot for the Chiefs. So being that we already marked them off for a loss later in the season, in December, I don't see them taking another loss in December. I just see them coming through and beating the Pittsburgh Steelers pretty handily here. I know we're going to be at Heinz Field. However, I know they're still trying to figure the quarterback situation out. Russell Wilson did not look great ever when he played us. So I don't see them getting a win here. Justin Fields didn't look too good either when he played us. But I think they're still trying to figure out their team, figuring out what direction they want their team to go in. And then we may be having a situation where they're fighting to get a certain pick, being that they may not be playoff eligible or just not in contention. So just depending on the situation. But I just think the Chiefs win going away here, being that organization is just going through a couple things right now.
I never sleep on Mike Tomlin because this is a guy who still hasn't had a losing season at all.
Right.
Now you could be right depending on the record. I mean, if they're sitting at 8-8, 9-8, whatever it is like that, depending on, if we're at 12, 13 wins already, it's not going to be much. I think this is a win anyway, just because, like you said, Russell Wilson didn't look great last year. It's just the Chiefs look bad. That's all. When you think about all our losses, we just look bad. And you see what we have became when we won the championship and went to the playoffs. That's not us at all. So I just think they don't have enough. Defensively, of course, you got TJ Watt, you got Mika over there. You got who's my guy, Joey Porter Jr. Holding it down as well too. Then you got George Pickens on the other side. They have the talent, but if you think the guys that they brought in as well too, it's just kind of lower tier to me, guys that we kind of wanted to bring in when we already had like our main guys, but we just wanted those additional 3 or 4 option weapons on the team. So it's just not enough for me. It's just not enough for it to move the needle in that case. So I do think this is a game that the Chiefs actually go out, win. We're going to Heinz Field, like you said, Christmas. They are, you're playing on Christmas Day. You're going to be away from the family, so all your focus is just going to be on preparing to go against this team, get it done, and get out of there and get back home as soon as possible. And then if you can go out and play lights out and kind of knock them down early if you can, all it does is make the clock run as well too. So you just got to think about that as well. But I do think they go ahead, they get this W. That way, they if so, they have clinched. They have clinched the first seed, and then they can go ahead and rest that last game of the season.
All right. And I am with you guys 100% that the Chiefs should pull off this Christmas game against the Steelers. Obviously, they got caught last year on Christmas at home against the Raiders, but I just don't think the Steelers are as equipped of a team to upset the Chiefs on Christmas. I feel like the Chiefs will be more prepared for this game and less sleepwalking into this. And yes, Russell Wilson was able to beat the Chiefs last year, but Patrick Mahomes was not 100% in that game. And I just don't see them dropping that game to the Steelers while the Steelers are in that same position as the Raiders trying to figure out what their long-term quarterback situation is. So, Dale, you mentioned if the Chiefs did get to sit this game out, but for the sake of consistency, let's say the Chiefs have to play this Week 17 game at Denver competitively. Win or a loss for the year?
Win. I'm going to win. And even if we do have to play somebody as well too, we got Carson Wentz, and I think that's just as much as serviceable when healthy and can compete. So either way it goes, I do have this game as a win for the Chiefs. We close out the season 14-3, and we move on with the number 1 seed in the playoffs, and then it goes from there.
Mm-hmm. Lonnie?
Yeah, so I think we win. I don't think it's any question. Like you said, I think we win going away, even if we do have to play a backup quarterback. Still, just it's later in the season, and even if it is a close one, I don't think they care about dropping it. But I think as long as the division is locked up, they'll definitely sit.
Yeah, as long as the division.
Yes, sir. And then I am also in that same boat. I think the Chiefs should get all the divisional wins this year, and I don't think that the Broncos should catch us unless we have a backup quarterback or a meaningless game for there. But I'm with you. That game should be a win. So with that said, we've got our full 17 games chosen. So now is your chance to screenshot this and make fun of us throughout the rest of the season if we got anything wrong. Dale's already mentioned he has the Chiefs going 14-3. Lonnie just a little bit worse at 13-4, and I'm being the most pessimistic here at 12-5. So now that we've got a chance to look at all of our selections on paper right in front of you, are you feeling as confident about your predictions now, or do you want another chance for me to write out a maybe this or this instead?
Only one that scared me, bro, and I'll agree with y'all on, is that Cleveland one. But I still think we win in Cleveland, bro. I just don't see us going to Cleveland and losing.
I'm confident. Our peak has always been 14 games, so it's nothing different than what I have seen before. And I just like the first Super Bowl that we came off as well too. We went into that season going 14-3 when they started the 17-game season. So I think that could be something similar this year, and with us not having as many issues as well too. Not having as many issues as last year. Yep, that's it. I think we're good.
And I'm with that too. Obviously, there's a couple games. That Tampa game I picked as a iffy could get swapped for somewhere else. Maybe they outright beat the Texans, but blow a division game against the Raiders or the Chargers or something like that. But I think that we're all pretty confident in our choices. And for the most part, every game that we chose, barring a couple, we all have a unanimous vote on it. So it seems like if the Chiefs are going to get caught, it's in certain places and against certain teams. But otherwise, we think that they should come out firing and a lot more confident than they were last season. I already stated they went 11-6 last year and had to go in week 17 with the backups. But if they had lost that game, then they would have went 10-7. So 7 losses last year would have been unheard of, but it wasn't that far off. So Dale being more on the optimistic side with only 3 and me being on the pessimistic side closer to 5. it's clear that we don't think this team should have anywhere close to less than double-digit wins. This team is way too good to barely be 500-ish or around there. And I think it's safe to say that this year's schedule, the opponents they have, is actually a little easier than last season, because I don't see as many gotcha type games on this year as last year. If you take away the 2 division losses, then we're right where Lonnie is at 13-4. So we know that the AFC West is a lot more competitive than we give it credit for. And just because the Chiefs have won it every single year doesn't mean that they've always swept it. Especially in last couple of years, they've dropped 1 or 2 and then been able to make up the difference. But knowing that they're trying to three-peat this year, Andy Reid always harkens on AFC West division first, then seeding, then the playoffs that follow. If you win your division, you're guaranteed to make the playoffs no matter what. That winning this AFC West division has got to be the number 1 priority for the Chiefs. And all of us for this year had them going 6-0 against their divisional foes. If, for the sake of the argument, they are going to blow a game or 2 to a team in the division, who are you giving that credit to?
I'm giving it to the Raiders.
Yeah, I was on Raiders.
They've been the most competitive. They got the coach. They have the defense. Like you said, it's not so much we don't know about the offense and the firepower that they're coming with, but he's just cerebral, very cerebral with his moves on defense, and he just has a scheme. It's almost Lou Anarumo-esque. He has a great plan for Mahomes, and they execute it perfectly.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and obviously I think a lot higher of the Chargers than you guys were to think that they're nowhere near close to being on our level, or that they're just not going to be competitive. But within those first 5 games, if they end up losing to the Chargers, I can't, ultimately say that would surprise me or upset me, I guess, because the Chiefs have lost weirder games than that. So I don't think that we can completely disregard the AFC West as a whole, and we got to give them credit in some way. So you guys are saying if the Chiefs are going to lose an AFC West game, it's going to be to the Raiders. I think potentially one of those early Charger matchups could be that place to be. So while we're still live, I'm going to attach this image that we just spent all this time digesting and going through, and I'm going to go ahead and tweet that out for you guys to see. And I'm going to put that on our social media platform so you guys can hold us accountable on those picks and refer back to those. And this will be a fun experiment. It'll be a fun experiment at the end of the season to see how close we were, and to see if one
get in
or
the
all
chat
of us,
and troll us.
Well, to see if any of us should have been in Vegas this whole time, because we should have been putting some real dollar bills on it. So, you guys have any final thoughts about the season, or maybe the Chiefs schedule release? How they did y'all end up watching the release video, the crushing videos?
Yeah.
Curly, don't get me started, bro. I'm getting tired. We need a new media team. I'm getting tired of this. All the bums coming with like the anime type of schedule releases. The Miami Dolphins did something with like the fastest schedule release in the world. Like, can we be creative? Like, I understand that we in the middle of the map, and we just not around everything all the time. But please, can we update that schedule release video? But other than that, I'm excited for what we got going on. I think it's going to be exciting season. And yeah, go ahead and go comment on that image as well too, with all of our with all of our predictions. And yeah, Mike, Clint, yeah, he's keeping receipts, bro. So we gonna see how that go. We're gonna see how that go, and hopefully we end up 14-3. Better yet, prove us all wrong and be 15-2.
Better yet,
Please.
prove us all wrong completely and go 17-0. Please,
Might as well.
we beg it. If you want
That's
to win
scary.
all the games, feel free. Dude.
Right.
Losing
Do
the
it,
Super
man.
Bowl.
Nah,
So,
we
Last
can't
team to
pull
be
that.
at that. Then that'll
It's
be
gonna
the
be
next narrative. Oh, they went 17-0. And hey, are they gonna be able to do what the Patriots can do?
Yeah, fact. So either way it go, I don't think it'll be that much pressure on them because the greatest dynasty that y'all calling right now lost when they were 18-0. So even if we are 19-0 and if we win, that's a plus. 20-0, first 20-0 Super Bowl winning team.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna go on a three-peat, you might as well finish the whole story and not lose a game all year. If you're gonna go for a three-peat, your goal might as well be 100% win rate. Come on.
Yeah, and then they'll say our whole team is on steroids. So, I just wanted to say I like the schedule. I love to see that it's released. It gives us a chance to set strategy. I think the Chiefs will set the strategy. They get to see how their opponents line up and prepare themselves for those matchups in that manner. So, I think it's good for us to know moving forward and kind of kind of set ourselves in there for those losses instead of getting up for games that we know we probably shouldn't really be getting up for. I think it's good. I like that we've seen it. I don't like how they campaign everything in the NFL. Now it's like everything is like stick around so you can see us release a game by game, or stick around so you can see each pick for 30 minutes. Like, oh my God, stop dragging everything out, NFL. Like, release the schedule and let it be that. Like, now it's becoming a super big thing. Like, I just don't like that, but that's just it for me.
Right. Dale, how about we go through our viewer chats for the day? Give them the chance to show what they had to say before we close out for the evening and get y'all's final thoughts in the chat too. Let us know some of your win-loss predictions. We already put our money where our mouth is, trying to guess the win-loss records for the Chiefs. Why don't you guys in the chat come out and give your thoughts as well? Yeah, 20-0. 20-0 is definitely how it's going to be.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
We hoping. We wanted to go 20-0, but they'll hate us even more. They already hate us now because we won back-to-back championships. They'll hate us even more if we go undefeated and win a championship. Oh my God.
Dale got the Raj stash. You got the Aaron Rodgers stash, Dale?
Yeah, I gotta get a cut this weekend. Still trying to get the goatee going though. Like for real, 14 or 15 W's.
14 or 15?
Yeah.
We hope so.
Really, if they just don't
That's the
have the
idea.
same mistakes. Yeah, I for real, if they don't have the same mistakes last season, they don't have a lot of those drops that they had last year. This year, I think they'd be fine because we were always in good position to win. We always fell short, and we had opportunities to where we could have placed pressure on opposing teams, and we didn't do that like we have done in previous years. But I do think that it's taken care of now. I think especially with what Reed saw last year, I think he knows who he have offensively, especially with bringing in Hollywood Brown and knowing Rashee Rice is your yak guy. We don't know how long he's going to be gone. Still waiting for that, but who knows? He might be there at the beginning if the process takes longer than expected. So who knows? And then you bring in Xavier Worthy as well. So it's like I truthfully don't think we have the same problems as last season, which is why I'm confident in this 14 wins.
And I'm being more on the speculative and just devil's advocate side and saying that things are bound to go wrong for the Chiefs, just like they do for most NFL teams. And if we try to predict where the bad things happen, it probably happened somewhere we didn't expect it, which is why I ended up randomly throwing the loss in the Tampa Bay column. But like we said, that it could very easily happen in the Cleveland column. Lonnie, you mentioned maybe the Panthers want to catch us. If we just completely sleepwalking for that game, who knows? You can't disregard any NFL team regardless of their past history, because we say it every game and every year. You always bring your best when you go to play the Chiefs. When they're trying to go for their third consecutive Super Bowl, that it's no exception that the Chiefs can and will be caught at any given time. So obviously we're not hoping for it, but I think clearly last year was on the worst side of it, and they were able to get caught a lot more. We don't think that is as likely this season, where the offense should be a little more refined. The defense has nearly everybody back except for L'Jarius Sneed, and they should be coming in with as much mental fortitude. And the goal is way in the postseason. But the divisional, the AFC West, is goal number one. And it's clear from our predictions that the Chiefs should and will win their 9th straight AFC West title and be 2 seasons ahead of all the rest of the divisions as the best AFC West team in all of NFL history. So, guys, it's been good. We've been going on for nearly 2 hours. We've about exhausted everything that we could about the schedule and the various matchups and when and where. So give us your final thoughts on the 2024 season as a whole, and we'll send the people off.
My final thoughts. Just excited. Glad that we're getting closer to NFL football. Ready to see what's going on. In the preseason as well too, because they released those games as well. So just prepared to go ahead and go on this 3-peat journey. I know this year is going to be way more satisfying than last year. I think the guys are ready to go. They're excited. And I'm glad we once again have one of the most primetime games again. So just seeing from where we came from with just being all the noon games or 3 o'clock games, we have transitioned to being the team that is in the spotlight now and that the world actually want to see. So can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to talk to everybody after those post games that we do as well too.
Yeah, and I'm
Yes,
thinking the same thing. This is I feel like this is a great schedule. I like it. It's not like Clint said, it's not as hard as I think last year's was. It's gonna be a great year to try and chase a 3-peat. We are, like Dale said, are gonna be in the limelight a lot. We got the light on us a lot this year, just like we were last year. But I think it's even more so this year with all those Sunday night, Monday night football games, Saturday games, and even Wednesday games. So I'm like Clint said, I'm gonna plan on every day of the week. It's kind of crazy, but I think that the Chiefs will enjoy this year. It gives them a little bit of adversity, gives them something to get up for. Getting those tiebreakers out early, out of the way early in the season, I feel like is going to help us a lot later in the season and pay a lot of dividends when it's coming down the stretch. We're competing for that number 1 seed. It hasn't been like that later in the years. We usually have to play those guys. And I think that's going to benefit us this year. So I like where we're at with the schedule. I think it's a legacy building year. I mean, like Dale said, can't wait to do the post games. I mean, this season is going to be good. It's lining up for a good one.
Yes, sir. Legacy is on the line. Patrick has the chance to be even better than Tom Brady ever has or ever was, and we're all rooting for it. So thanks all who attended here, and hopefully we entertained you for 2 hours. And Dale, hopefully our videos is more entertaining than the Chiefs schedule release, and hopefully you got more entertainment from us than the slowly crushing objects as that video was. crazy that literally, except for Tuesday, it's the only day of the week the Chiefs won't have a football game. The NFL is changing. They are all about the money and the eyeballs on all the games, and the Chiefs are all over the place for a couple noons, some 3 o'clock, 3:25s, and the primetime game of the evening, whether on Sunday or Monday or Thursday. So it is a very good time being a Chiefs fan. It's even better time being a Chiefs media company covering the Chiefs. Now is as good a time as ever to get into this team. We won't call you bandwagon or nothing, because we accept anybody and everybody. If you bleed red and gold and you're with us, and if you guys are interested, we've got our post game that we do after every single game. We're here live. We're here dissecting that game and what that means going forward. You guys can get on. You can leave your thoughts. You can be out in the chat. You can get us hyped or bring us back to life if one of these games is a stray loss that we weren't seeing coming. But I'm just going to be excited for the rest of the season. We're not that far away from training camp, so pads on is very soon. We just got done with the rookies, but stick with us because we're here all year round. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're watching now on X, which thanks to all who are chilling on there. You can check out our podcasts or our other live streams over on our YouTube channel. We've got our Substack where we post our daily updates Monday through Friday. So expect one for tomorrow morning. One of them may or may not be a link to this video and us breaking down the entire schedule. So if you want to subscribe and get that in your inbox every weekday for free, go ahead and sign up if you're interested in some of the paid content that we've got going on. I know that we have some draft breakdowns that we've got obligated to you guys pretty soon. So if you want to see some written thoughts about Chiefs draft class and the potential impact they will have on this current season and the future, and what our grades are for what each player and the draft as a whole, make sure to subscribe to our Substack and sign up for the paid version so you can get that access, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. But we'll be here throughout the entire NFL season. Obviously, we're all hoping for that three-peat. Last year, it wasn't looking so good. It didn't seem like that was in the cards, but this team can work miracles, and we will see if this Chiefs team comes out with firepower and whether or not they can get the job done. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. If you're watching us the next day on Thursday or Thursday morning, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Get some rest. As always, let's go.
Cheers. Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs, Red Kingdom.